Hi everybody, welcome to today's history lesson, which is looking at the Olympics, specifically comparing the ancient Greek with the modern day Olympics. All right, so it's our last lesson in our ancient Greek history unit actually, and I've been really impressed with what you've known already so far. So thinking about the Olympics, if you're not sure already, it's a sporting event that brings together, in modern day, it brings together countries from all over the world who compete in a range of different sporting events and categories for medals. Okay, so what I want you to do, I've given you a little snippet there. What I want you to do is pause me and create your own mind map on everything you know about the Olympics. Now that can be a collection of pictures, words, etc. So I'm not going to try and draw with my mouse on here, but for example, you might say, okay, Mrs. Elmer's just mentioned medals. So you might say there's bronze, silver, gold. And to be fair, you could draw me like a little medal or something, couldn't you? I'm good. Do I try it? This is too late. I'm already here now, guys. Let's do it. So you could draw a little medal like this. I mean, it could be worse, couldn't it? So anything you know, perhaps where they started, what they look like, what events there are, anything like that, have a go. Unpause me when you're ready to move on. Okay? Right. Hopefully you got some much better pictures than me and a whole range of different ideas. Now, to start, before we kind of look at modern day Olympics, I want us to go back to where they actually came from. Now, sadly, we were due to have Olympics last year in 2020. It's every 4 years. Obviously, that's been postponed. Hopefully it will happen in 2021. We'll see. Because I guess for some of you, the Olympics might not be so familiar. But anyway. The Olympics actually started in ancient Greece. Now, we've already touched on that quite a lot. And we know that ancient Greece was split into different city-states or polis. We've looked particularly at Athens and Sparta, but Olympia was another one, okay? And Olympia is where the Olympics were held. And actually, those city-states that we mentioned, for a lot of the time, as we know, they were often at war with one another, but actually the Olympics was something where they kind of put all that to one side and kind of peace was declared and they would come together to enjoy and compete in the games. All right, so first ever Olympic Games, 776 BC in Olympia. That is nearly 2,800 years ago now. All right, and again, there's the element of competitiveness that is important in a lot of sporting games, but actually the biggest kind of part of it, I guess the honour of it, was that the event was kind of done for Zeus, the king of the gods, and it was kind of to honour him. Okay, so you had that kind of belief in their gods and goddesses, their spiritual beliefs as well. All right, now, actually, you might be surprised to hear that there are quite a few similarities between ancient Greek and modern day Olympics, in that lots of the events are the same. So if you just have a look here, what do you think these events are? These are all from ancient Olympics. What do you think they are? Pause me and then come back together. Right, so hopefully you got this one is running. Okay, now we know there's a range of different running events in the Olympics these days. You have the sprints, 1,500 meters, 10,000 meters, relay, but we've got running there. You might also recognize discus, where kind of a heavy kind of disc shape is thrown, as well as javelin. We've got the long jump down here. There's also the high jump in modern day Olympics, where you're trying to jump the furthest distance. You've then got, this one is boxing. Hopefully you could see that. And then we've got wrestling here, a bit different to your WWE now, but you've got wrestling. Those are all the ones that I found that were the same. However, these two down here, slightly different. So you may recognize, with this one here, you may recognize this kind of vehicle as a chariot, which we know they also had in ancient Egyptian times. Chariot racing was a huge thing in the ancient Greek Olympics. They had, I think it was something like 12 laps. It was pretty dangerous. They had kind of sharp corners to turn, and you imagine horse racing now can often be dangerous. Think about having a massive cart attached to it as well, and like the twists and turns. So that was a big thing. This one here, brutal. looks kind of, well, again, it looks a little bit like they're fighting, doesn't it? And that's because that's exactly what they're doing. This is called pancration. I'm going to type it down so hopefully you can see it. Pancration was, I guess, a bit of a mixture of wrestling and boxing. Essentially, it was a pretty much no rules fight. There were 2 rules that they had to follow. You weren't allowed to bite. You weren't allowed to poke your opponent in the eye. But other than that, there weren't really any rules. In fact, some wrestlers did die because there was you could carry on even if your opponent was knocked out. You would carry on. So yeah, brutal. Not going to lie, pretty glad they're not in the Olympics these days. So those were some ancient Greek events. Okay, now what I'd like you to do, this is kind of I'm handing over to you now, is I've given you a little bit of info about how they started and why they started. I've given you a little bit of info on what they actually did back in the ancient Greek Olympics. What I'd like you to do now, please, is have a research yourself and find out some more detailed information. BBC Bitesize is great for this. They've actually got a whole page dedicated. Some of the learner guides we've looked at before, and they've got a whole one dedicated to the Olympics. If you search BBC Bitesize Ancient Greek Olympics, it should come up. And I want you to make some notes. So have a little read through, make notes under the following headings. So we've got where and why they began, which is what we looked at a couple of slides ago. Sporting events and what was actually included, like we looked at just now. And also women at the Olympics. I know some of you knew a bit about this when we were looking at Athens and Sparta as well. Underline your headings, lay out your notes neatly. If you want to add some pictures as well, I think that'd be cracking. But have a look, and yeah, remember, every time I write expectations, do it neatly. Come on, guys, you can do it. That's focusing on ancient Greek Olympics. Now, as a bit of an extension, if you get through that quite quickly, before I show you my kind of extra activities based on more modern day, you may want to have a look and start to make your own comparisons between the two. Okay, so if you want to pause me, perhaps with this up on the screen, if you want to rewind me, look back at what I was saying about those events, and then, yeah, do your own research. And then once you finish your notes, perhaps I'd say spend about 30 minutes on your notes. I think that should give you plenty of time to get some stuff under each heading. And then once you're ready, come back. I've got a couple of extensions for you. All right. Right, hopefully you found out some cool facts that you can share with me. I'd love anything you produce. I'd love to see them because, yeah, I know for a fact you guys know loads more than me in quite a lot of our history and geography learning. So, follow-up activity, if you would like. And I'm going to put, this is going to be up on the website as well. So, you have got the mild I've put up on the website a comparison Venn diagram for modern day and ancient Olympics. So basically it's a Venn diagram like we've done in science before, and then you're going to have, there's lots of events, and I want you to sort them into what was in the ancient, what was in the modern, and then there's that bit in the middle for if there was any crossover, any events that were in both. Spicy. If you don't fancy doing all of the kind of Venn diagram, rather than doing that, you can write me a paragraph about modern day Olympics and the ancient Greek Olympics and compare the two, and just, have a think about the difference between sports, prizes, and who actually took part, and maybe how they took part. I know that was one of your favourite bits of history, guys, that bit. So next option, either Venn diagram, paragraph, comparing on those headings, and then if you're feeling super ambitious, there are some extensions that I've put on the website, which focus mostly on modern day Olympics. So thinking about, for example, plotting out the route for various different Olympians now to the site of the Olympics back in ancient Greece, but also the next Olympics that are coming up. So a bit of a geography history mashup for you. And yeah, there's a couple of other bits on there too. Okay, so hope that makes sense. Done your notes, diagram or paragraph, and some extensions if you're feeling really wild. And then if you want to come back to me, I've got one final little activity which you can get your parents and families involved with if they're available as well. Okay. Right. so hopefully you've all played charades before. It's where you are not allowed to speak and you have to use actions to help the person, somebody, guess what it is you're doing. So I would like you to play Greek charades by choosing an ancient Greek Olympic event, okay? Can you make a pose, do an action to get somebody to choose or guess the event that you've chosen? All right. Now, like I said, it may well be that people are busy. Perhaps you could save this as a little activity, 2 minutes or something later tonight. But yeah, can we guess your event? Also, suggestion, you could get somebody to take a picture of you in a freeze frame of doing one of the actions and send it to either me or Ms. Rutherford, and we can guess what it is you're doing. All right. So hopefully that all makes sense. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. Don't forget the worksheets will be on the website as well. And yeah, enjoy. I'm really looking forward to next week's wider curriculum, which is where we will be finishing off our science work on forces. Okay, take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.